There is a single moment you surrender all power. It's when you are accused and you choose to defend yourself. You think it's honorable. But Machiavelli knew this is a fatal trap, a reflex that guarantees your defeat. I will show you how to master his endgame and become truly untouchable. Society tells you to defend your honor, to guard your crown with frantic explanations and justifications against every perceived slight. But this is a lie. Every word you speak in your own defense is a crack in your armor, an open invitation for your own ruin. Machiavelli knew the ultimate power is not needing to act. We will show you how to build an untouchable throne, a fortress of presence immune to attack. Because the greatest kings don't just win the game, they transcend it. Let us begin the endgame. That instinct to justify yourself. It feels like honor, but it is a sickness of the soul, a slow poison you willingly drink each time you are challenged. With every explanation, you offer up a piece of your sovereignty. You invite the world to sit in judgment over your reign, and your throne shrinks under the weight of their perception. The walls of your own mind become a prison, built from the opinions of lesser men. But Machiavelli knew the path to immunity is not paved with better arguments or cleverer defenses. It is forged by understanding the very architecture of power and realizing the most impenetrable fortress is the one they can never see. We are raised to believe that a good reputation is the ultimate shield, a flawless, polished surface of integrity that protects us from slander and earns the trust of the court. We must appear noble, fair, and reasonable at all times. But this obsession with being seen as good is a gilded cage. It makes you predictable, soft, and fatally easy to manipulate. Your need for approval becomes a leash in your enemy's hand. They know exactly which accusations will force you to talk, to explain, to submit. Machiavelli scorned this weakness. He knew a strong reputation is infinitely more valuable than a good one. A good man is loved, perhaps, but a strong man, one respected, unpredictable, and even feared, is not casually attacked. His reputation is not a polished shield begging for validation. It is iron armor forged in silence and shadow. But even this iron armor is just an echo, a shadow cast by a power source hidden much deeper within the sovereign psyche. Many would-be kings stop at the iron armor, wearing strength as a costume. But it is hollow, an empty suit that rattles with insecurity, fated to shatter under a truly determined assault. They build the armor, but forget to build the man inside. The untouchable throne is not a seat of gold and velvet. It is a state of being, forged in the silent labyrinth of your own psyche. It requires a brutal journey inward, a descent to meet your own shadow, your ambition, your rage, your capacity for cruelty. Not as monsters to be slain, but as exiled parts of your power to be claimed and integrated. This is the terrifying, necessary alchemy of true individuation. When you achieve this union, when the king and his shadow reign as one, the need for external performance falls away. Your presence alone becomes the fortress. Your composure is no longer an act. It is a fact of nature, as immovable as a mountain. You are not playing the part of the untouchable king. You are him. But a power this immense cannot remain contained. It begins to radiate, projecting an aura that bends the very fabric of perception around you. What is the language of sovereign power? The lesser man believes it is spoken in declarations, boasts, and threats. He feels a desperate need to narrate his own strength, to convince the court of his importance. The king who has claimed his inner throne knows this is a fool's game. He uses a different language, the language of the void. When attacked, he offers no reaction. When questioned, he offers only unnerving stillness. He creates a profound vacuum where a spectacle was demanded, and the human mind abhors a vacuum. Into that silence, people pour their own narratives, their fears, their awe, their deepest insecurities. They begin to write your legend for you. Their imagination grants you a power far greater and more terrifying than any you could claim for yourself. This reveals the final, almost metaphysical paradox of the throne, where the less you do, the more you become. Here is the paradox. The man who scrambles for power, who acts, speaks, and strives, is merely a player on the board. He is an object, a slave to the game, endlessly reacting to the moves of others. But the sovereign who has mastered stillness ceases to be a player. He becomes the board itself. His throne is no longer a seat, but the center of gravity in the room, forcing all other pieces to orbit his silence. His stillness is not passivity, it is an active, crushing pressure. He does not need to act, because his very state of being is the ultimate action. He is no longer fighting for position. He is the position. So the choice is laid bare: to live as a frantic defender of a hollow crown, or to undergo the inner alchemy that unifies reputation, shadow, and silence into one unassailable whole. This is the threshold of true sovereignty. You stop playing their game and become the reality to which they must adapt. At the beginning of our journey, I told you that defending your crown was the surest way to lose it, that every justification was another crack in your armor. The mystery was never how to build a better defense. The mystery was how to make defense itself obsolete. We have found the answer, not in the courts of men or the clamor of debate, but in the silent, sovereign dominion of the self. Here is the hidden truth Machiavelli understood. The game of accusation and defense is a stage play for the powerless. As long as you are on that stage, you are an actor, seeking the approval of an audience that secretly craves your downfall. To become untouchable is to simply walk off the stage. It is the realization that the opinions of others are ghosts, illusions that only have power if you acknowledge them. The true sovereign does not concern himself with the whispers of ghosts. This entire journey has been about a single, monumental shift in perspective. From an external locus of control to an internal one. It is the understanding that your security does not come from what you say or do. It comes from what you are. When you have done the terrifying work of integrating your own psyche, you no longer seek validation from the world because you have finally become your own. Do not treat this as mere philosophy. This is a new code for your reign, effective this very moment. The next time you feel the sting of accusation, the subtle jab in a meeting, the questioning gaze of a rival, that is your training ground. The temptation to explain will rise like a fever. Your task is not to conquer the other person. Your task is to conquer that instinct within yourself. Fallen King, the forging of your untouchable throne begins now. It begins with your next breath and your next choice to remain still. It is a commitment to observation over explanation, to silence over self-betrayal. Let them have their stage and their noise. Your domain is the inner realm, the only ground where true power is cultivated. Let this be your vow. You will no longer participate in your own diminishment. And so, you take your seat upon the silent throne of the self. The noise of their world, their judgments, their strategies, their petty games, fades to an irrelevant whisper. Let them play. Your work is done. You have finally become untouchable.